Hi, I'm Laura Engelhardt from the University of Texas at Austin, and I'm going to share with you some research I conducted along with Doctors Paige Hardin, Jessica Church, and Elliot Tucker-Draub, looking at environmental influences on cognitive and academic abilities in a large sample of children and adolescents. So a large body of research has demonstrated inequalities in students' academic skills, including things such as reading and math performance, as well as cognitive skills such as intelligence that underlie the capacity to do well in school. Importantly, these inequalities are rooted in the environments or contexts in which children and adolescents grow up. And we care about this because if we want to develop policies that reduce inequalities between children of different families, we need to know which features of the environment significantly contribute to those inequalities. So to do this, we collected data on over 1,700 3rd through 12th graders in Central Texas. This picture shows individual families plotted on census tracts within the greater Austin area. We've offset family locations to maintain confidentiality, but you can see both a nice spread and density of our participating families. And importantly, these families came from urban, suburban, and rural regions spanning different socioeconomic strata. Participants came to the lab and completed a set of standardized academic and cognitive tests, and then we related their performance to a large number of measurements that characterize the context in which these participants are raised. In addition to assessing the quality of participants' home experiences, we wanted to test whether disparities in the quality and composition of their schools and neighborhoods also impacted task performance. We used principal components analysis to distill these data into 9 theoretically derived composites, shown here in color, and these, along with participant race, were our predictors moving forward. Another unique aspect of our study is that all of our participants were twins or triplets, coming from both identical and fraternal pairs. And incorporating knowledge of their genetic relatedness into our models allowed us to identify the socioecological composites that made participants more or less similar to one another on our outcomes above and beyond the effect of genes. For the twin-based analyses, we first set aside the measured environments to determine how much of the variation in each of the outcomes was due to broad genetic and environmental factors. For example, genetic influences explained about 1/3 of the variation in children's reading ability. Unmeasured environments shared by twins within the same family explained just under 1/3, and unmeasured environments not shared by twins raised in the same family explained the remaining 1/3. We then entered the socioecological composites and race as predictors in the model to determine what proportion of the shared environment could be accounted for by these contexts and which of the contexts were relatively more predictive of our outcomes. And here are the results of those analyses for 4 outcomes depicted on the x-axis. The total height of each bar represents the proportion of variance in each outcome that was attributable to the unmeasured shared environment, or what we call C-squared. The bottom 4 colors of the bars represent how much of the shared environmental variance was explained by each set of explicitly measured contexts and race. And finally, the green portion represents what we were unable to explain about between family differences after including the composites in the model. So for example, race in the socioecological composites explained all of the between family differences in IQ, whereas for math, a significant proportion of the shared environment was not captured by our environmental indices. So what does this mean for researchers? So developmental researchers who may be interested in characterizing children's and adolescents' experiences should consider a wide range of environmental exposures beyond just family socioeconomic status. For example, we saw that school demographics and neighborhood level socioeconomic status accounted for variation in IQ above and beyond home or family level influences. Second, genetics research is often interpreted as meaning that the environment doesn't matter, but we're showing that about 1/3 of the variation in our outcomes are due to environmental inequalities between families. Moreover, we can statistically account for those influences by incorporating explicitly measured contexts into our models. What we can account for are differences in our participants' math skills, and the environmental experiences that are meaningful for other abilities such as intelligence and verbal comprehension and reading performance may not be entirely overlapping with those that are important for math ability. So future research is needed to identify the specific contexts that can fully account for shared environmental influences on math ability. Thanks for listening, and I hope that you enjoyed this paper.